So, if you were an ice cream flavor, what would you be and why?
Mint chip. Because I've eaten more mint chip than anything else in the history of sweets. We used to go to 31 Flavors, and I don't know if it's called 31 Flavors anymore, Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
And, they'd always give you, you'd have a little, half an ounce taste of something. And every once in a while I'd have a taste of something. And I always had buyer's remorse. Like, give me the mint chip. And a wafer cone or a sugar cone? Sugar cone, duh.
So, in season 1, we got a few glimpses of Stan dealing with his emotions when he has those quiet moments alone, but they were a little few and far between. Do you see that kind of expanding in season 2 or staying, a little more rare?
I think when you're with somebody as agile, cerebrally, as nimble as Dana, and who's available to use the takeaways from a first season, which he did, that serves the second season really well. And one of the takeaways, which you're suggesting, is one of Stan's strengths is how damaged he is. He was a sheriff for 27 years and he was married for 28. In the first minute and a half of the premiere, both of those are gone. And I think the absence of Claire, which defines him the same way that Edith defines Archie in All in the Family, is something that we really dug into season 2. And it yields profound emotional dividends. And it doesn't take away from the comedy or the horror, but it grounds it. And I begged for it, and Dana let me have it.
Great. And speaking of kind of that emotional pull, we know that the basis, in this season, he's trying to get Evie back at the same time. He's also trying to find a way to get his wife back, and that there's that conflict if he can do both or if he has to choose. Can you talk a little bit about kind of Stan's motivation, or does he think he can get both of them and he's not even worried about it?
Well, the first thing he does in season 1, because there's a clip in season 2, because there's a cliffhanger from season 1, Evie's gone back 600 years and about to get burned at the stake, he figures out a way to get her and bring her back. And armed with that little bit of intel, he extrapolates that if I could get Evie back, maybe I could try to get Claire back. And all these things keep getting in the way for about 7 episodes. And then in the finale of season 2, he exercises some of the tools that he had to get Evie back, to get Claire back. And so Stan has this arc in season 2 that's all based again on Claire. And so it grounded me in the loveliest way possible this year.
So I also know that you guys use a lot of practical effects on the show, which means that you're interacting in person with a lot of these creatures. How is it to do you do your own stunts? Do you do your own work with that? And how is that compared to doing stuff which is special effects with a person in a green suit, basically, or interacting with a tennis ball?
I don't do my own stunts anymore. I did them long enough and got hurt enough that at 58, I just can't. Because if I get hurt, the whole show is going to shut down. And it's different when you're 35 and doing The Rock, or you're 24 and doing Platoon. It's just different. At 58, stuff hurts, and then the show shuts down, and I'm one of the producers. And if I wasn't Stan and we had an actor playing Stan, and I was one of the producers, I would say, no, you can't jump off this table and tackle the guy going by. We have a guy, we can shoot behind you. We're shooting 8 episodes in 4 weeks and 4 days. You can't get hurt. You can't. That's off the table. And so I don't do my own stunts anymore. But it is thrilling not to have to act to a tennis ball, which sometimes is on a gimbal or an arm, and everything is going to be in post-production. We don't have the budget for it on Stan. And so we have actors who are made up by largely the crew that we can steal from an on hiatus Walking Dead crew. We just steal their whole crew. And we have these actors who go into makeup at 3 a.m, and then they come to the set at around 7, and they look amazing. And the actors get to act opposite them. And so the level of the lie in front of the lens is reduced because you are working with a monster. There's a monster you're looking at. You should be able to generate that as an actor. You're not looking at a tennis ball. And so that's what we put the actors through.
And aside from, obviously this is, it's a passion for you, because like you said, you're a producer on it as well. Aside from this, what other upcoming things do you have going on that we can look forward to?
Well, The Good Catholic's out now. Danny Glover and I did a film called The Good Catholic, which is out now. And the rest of my time I spend advocating for the special needs community. I work with a group out of Denver called the Global Down Syndrome Foundation, and we have a big fundraiser coming up in November, and I spend most of my time with the Special Olympics, and we have a campaign called Spread the Word to End the Word, which encourages people to just use compassion instead of the word retard and retarded. And I spend most of my time trying to advocate for people who can't advocate for themselves, primarily people with Down syndrome.
I do follow you on Twitter, and you've been kind of retweeting a couple times. So yes, I keep up with you, and you're a big fan. So
Cheers.
And I was lucky enough to go to the set visit where you talked about shooting in Atlanta. Can you talk a little bit about that and the experience of working on set in real housing and things like that?
What's great about Atlanta is because it's become a production hub, you are not deprived of really skilled crews. And because we are, in a preposterous way, shooting 8 episodes in 4 weeks and 4 days, it's not even 5 weeks because we start the day after Memorial Day. And we could use the extra day. Unless the crew is pretty dialed, you're effed. And stuff can't go wrong. We can't be waiting for the guy to bring the wrench for 2 hours. That's not possible. It's not possible. And for us to get 8 episodes in 4 weeks and 4 days has yielded some dividends because the actors have to go instinct. They have to. A lot of times the first thing that happens on any production is you do a round table read through. And usually the network people are there, and unfortunately a lot of times the first round table read through of any script is better than anything that ever happens after it. Because lights aren't going to get blown out. We're not going to be waiting for the batteries for the microphone, and the actors just instinctually bring their A game. And that's what the actors have to do on Stan, because we're not going to go back and do reshoots. This doesn't exist. People tell me they do 2-week reshoots on different things. I'm like, really? We did 5 episodes in 2 weeks. How you doing?
question, guys. At that same thing, I'll ask you the same thing as Dana. What movie traumatized you as a kid? Like, what really just scared the shit out of you?
Wait Until Dark. Alan Arkin and Richard Crenna and Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn plays a deaf woman, and I won't tell you the whole movie, but Arkin is the scary. Arkin, I would have been a little boy back then, and it was not age appropriate for me to see it, but for some reason I did. And I've never met Alan Arkin, but he was the scariest guy I've ever seen. And if I see it now, I don't know if it would be as scary. I have no idea. But when I was a little boy, it seemed like that was the scariest, because I grew up in New York, and Audrey Hepburn is this New Yorker, and she lives in a walk down, like 1 bedroom, and easily Wait Until Dark.